Hi everybody, welcome back once again to the Eastfield Gunroom, and today we have got a very exciting shotgun yet again. When I say I'll be bringing you the rare stuff, the exciting stuff, I'm not going to disappoint, let me tell you that. For those that enjoyed our very first video, which was one of the Miroku Presidents, I have got yet another Miroku President, but it's a much more modern shotgun. Now, that's going to appeal to people in a very, very different way, because even though that fantastic little grade 13 that we reviewed was multi-choked and 30-inch, it still got the foibles of a 40-plus-year-old gun in terms of shotgun ownership. This Miroku here, again, this is a first for me. This is the first time I've had my hands on this particular model. They did do a slightly upgraded version of this, which I've probably seen 3 or 4 of in the past, but this is my first run out with an SP100, which is the model of the gun. The Miroku SP100 was a kind of like a marketing campaign from Miroku back in the late 90s. Now, as far as I'm aware, they only produced them in very small numbers in 1999. 98, 99. I've never seen another one that wasn't 98 or 99, regardless of it being the SP100, which is the box lot version we've got here, or the SP120, which is the side plate version, which hopefully we'll be able to bring you in a later video. Not unlike the grade 13, it's quite handy we did that video because I can revert back to that. So if you haven't seen it, do click on it and have a look, because it's a very special shotgun, as is this. And once again, it was a kind of contender to the handmade Browning B25. Now, back in 1999, this shotgun cost about £9,500 here in the UK. So to put that into perspective, nowadays, because I did a Google, it's about 13 or 14 grand. So that's an awful lot of money to be spending on a shotgun. Whereas at the time, it wouldn't have come that much under something like a basic Browning B25 B2G. So it really was a high-end gun. Now, the problem for me, and I think the reason it perhaps didn't sell in the numbers, even though they weren't made in massive numbers, that might have been expected, as has always been the same. If you buy a Browning in the UK versus a Miroku, the Miroku is marketed as the poorer cousin, if you like. You can't buy a Miroku in the United States, again, I believe solely down to politics. So I think they were really up against the wall when they decided to bring to market a gun with the Miroku badge on it that was a lot more money than most of their standard model guns, and not too far below some of their handmade guns. And that, for me, is why I think it wasn't the success that it perhaps could have been. So the gun itself is standard Miroku monoblock, rock hard, durable, reliable, dependable Japanese manufacture. If you haven't had a Miroku, you need to get one. It is as simple as that. In all my years in the gun trade, I've spoken to an awful lot of England's top shooters, and regardless of what gun they currently shoot, may it be a top-end DT11 or a Krieghoff, they will always have a Miroku in the back of the cabinet because they just work so well. This gun is without a doubt very special. We start off with the action. Like I said, it's that very deep body, standard sort of Browning thing. And I know that we've moved on in terms of design, and you've now got the 725, which Browning launched back in 2011. And it's a lower profile action, this, that, and the other. But for me, this is the one, the deeper action. It's a bit chunkier, but it just feels more solid. You know, with the greatest respect to Browning, the 725 is a great gun. Given the choice, I would always go for the original, traditional, deep-bodied Browning design. So the engraving, which is the first thing I'll talk about, absolutely stunning, sort of floral bouquet, acanthus, whatever you want to call it. Again, not dissimilar to something like a B25 D5G, in that the D4G is the game scene and the D5 is the scroll. This is the scroll. So very, very nicely done. Barrel wings all matched in. Top lever, very, very nicely engraved. All down the back strap. Now, interesting as well with this particular gun, There's actually a hallmark stamped on the back strap, which denotes better quality steel. The top lever's engraved, the safety catch is engraved, basically it's all engraved. And again, with the grade 13 that we looked at, the older model gun, this is exactly the same. Everything internally is polished. You can see this is a much newer gun, so it's had less use than the gun we reviewed previously. Really, really nicely polished, ejectors, ejector slides, etc. Now this one is a sporting variant. Now I haven't seen many SP models in a sporting variant, even in the side-plated version. The majority of what I've seen have been game guns, which have been fixed choke quarter 3/4. But from a usability point of view, so we've got the standard 10mm rib with a tram line, which everyone knows and loves from a Browning Miroku point of view. But this one is actually Invector multi-choked. So 30-inch barrels, Invector multi-choke. It's currently got a couple of Teagues sticking out at the end there, but it's got some flush chokes with it as well, I believe. 2 3/4-inch chambers. But, you know, with the event of steel shot becoming compulsory in the UK, I use the word compulsory, obviously there's a long way to go yet, but it's certainly lead is being phased out. From a usability point of view, you could shoot standard steel through this, no problem whatsoever. Say 2 3/4-inch chambers. You've got the wooden cleats on the front for where the forend fits on nicely. So moving on to the forend, it is a standard Schnabel forend. What is a little bit different is the style of the checkering, because if you look at a modern, something like an MK70 or an MK38, you don't get the points going all the way around the forend. The engraving is, again, all over this gun on the forend iron, even around the top of the forend iron. You've got some little, I don't know whether they're grapes or something from outer space, but it looks cool. And again, as you did with the President, because I've said this in previous videos that I've done, is with a shotgun, it's very difficult for manufacturers because in many cases they're trying to reinvent the wheel. So when they bring a new model out, it will have a cosmetic change, it will have a slightly different trigger pull, but in essence, you know, the design of an over and under shotgun and the way that the hammers and the sears and everything works so well, there is no need to change it. So from a cosmetic point of view, again, you've got this nice little Ninja Star stroke Wheel of Fortune disc here, okay, just sticking out the forend. Again, look at the forend iron, really, really nicely engraved. All the numbers match up on this gun, so I can confirm that there's never been any replacement woodwork fitted to it or anything like that, which is a nice point. And even if you look in there, the forend iron itself has been polished also, and the ejector kickers. There's a lot of time, a lot of effort gone into this gun. And like I said before, it was a lot of money in the day, and I just think that for the badge that was on it, it was always going to struggle. However, nowadays, if you can find one of these guns, because let's not forget the fact that these are scarce, because I think there wasn't many in the first place, maybe 150 worldwide-ish. They represent great value for money because shotguns have got dearer and dearer and dearer and dearer. So if you look at some of these older high-end models, also B25s, you know, high-grade guns can be bought now for a really, really good price. And I would urge anybody that is looking to own something a bit special, a bit different, I would definitely not discount any of the Miroku President range if you can lay your hands on one. We look at the face of the gun, very little used. And then we move on to the wood. Now, again, what tends to happen with higher grade guns, in my experience, is the first thing that people do when they buy them is they go straight to a gunsmith. So they get bent, messed about with, dropped, adjustable cones fitted, whatever, because it seems to me that that's just the way it's always been, you know, from the 1920s onwards in terms of shotgun fit. Whereas a lot of people, although I would never recommend this, will go and buy a gun off the shelf and just go and shoot it, see how they get on with it. Gun fitting is absolutely essential, but you tend to find that regardless of the level of shooting that the owner has done, the first thing they would do if they were to buy something that's, I would say, premium, is go and have it messed about with in inverted commas. Which is why with this, we've got this American style sort of Packmeyer pad with a non-slip top and a Wago. This is actually a German recoil pad. And you've got the addition of an adjustable comb. Now, adjustable combs, absolutely brilliant. I've had guns on them. I've had guns with them on for a number of years. No problem whatsoever. My partner shoots with a gun with adjustable comb because standard guns don't fit everybody. And this gun has been used by a reasonably competitive clay shooter only on high days and holidays, of course, because if you've got something special, it's nice to use it, but it's also nice to preserve it and to keep it nice. And from a fit point of view, you can do anything with it. Windage and elevation, change whatever you like. You know, you can even have the front sort of cast off and the back cast on, so you've got a bit of a twist in it. Everybody's different. Everybody requires something different from a shotgun stock in terms of dimensions. So the wood itself, difficult to tell, because whereas Miroku nowadays use American walnut throughout, apart from on, I believe, the MK11, which is European, I can't make my mind up whether this is European or American. I think it's European because I think it's a bit less nutty, in inverted commas, than what you would find on a standard Miroku MK30, MK70 off the shelf. One of my favorite bits about this gun is, again, it's kind of a carbon copy of the grade 13 that we did with a modern twist. You've still got the roll trigger, but the engraving on the underside and these little roses and where it says BC Miroku, it just looks absolutely superb. So who's this gun going to appeal to? I know a lot of Miroku enthusiasts, a lot of Miroku fanatics. I also understand that for years and years, Miroku has not been that accessible worldwide. I've got friends in Australia, and I know that they've got completely different model ranges over there, which I am hoping to bring to you in a review at some point. I'm working hard to do that for you. But at the same time, when you come across something that's this scarce, it's a bit like a classic car, isn't it? What you've got is and I'll come on to this in other videos, because a lot of the guns we're going to be reviewing are going to be slightly older and certainly very special, and in some cases completely unique. It's a bit like a classic car that people relate to, because when they were younger they remember them, and then they, one day I want to own one. And what you're buying with some of these older guns, and I don't mean particularly this one because it's only 1990, it's only 25 years old-ish, is a bit of nostalgia and a bit of pride of ownership. Now, like I said before, this SP100, 1999, it was a lot of money. It was a lot of money, which is why they are so scarce. And it's as simple as that. If you look at Miroku as a brand, okay, it is so highly regarded in terms of dependability. That's the main word we use, dependability. I bang on about reliability, durability. Why would you spend all that extra money on something that does exactly the same as a lower grade gun? The reason you spend that extra money is because you love the brand, okay? You want to be part of the brand, and you appreciate all the extra pieces of detail that have gone into manufacturing this gun. And also from Miroku themselves as a manufacturer, there's a lot of pride involved here. Now, one thing I completely forgot to talk about when I did the grade 13 review a little while back, because Miroku are proud of the heritage of some of these higher grade guns, in Australia you can now buy a new grade 13 with a headed stock, which basically means you buy it with a big blank piece of wood on it, and it is custom built to your dimensions, either by Miroku or you take it to your gun shop and do it. God knows what that costs, but it will be an awful lot of money. If you compare it to something like an MK11, which is about £6.5 grand in the UK, not hand engraved. Yes, it's hand finished, but it ain't on anywhere near the same level as what you would get if you were to buy a new President grade Miroku. I would estimate to buy one of those in Australia, it's going to be 10, 12, 15 grand. And what you tend to find with manufacturers when they bring out something that's so niche and so prestige is they charge what they want, because they only want a very small number of people to buy and to own that gun. What you're doing is you're becoming a small part of the elite, if you like. So I'm waffling now, so we'll go back to the SP100. As you would expect, like I say, we've got nicely figured American stroke European walnut, can't make my mind up. Dropper points, double point checkering, standard pistol grip with no palm as well. And that's interesting because in some forthcoming videos I've got planned, you will see there's massive differences in particularly Miroku ranges from the guns that are available in the UK and that are available. I'll go back to Australia because that's where in particular there's a lot of differences, and I'm going to show you those differences and explain them to you why I think they have them. As a gun, This is brilliant, okay? As an all-rounder, you can do anything with this. You put the flush chokes in it, you take it game shooting, you've got a gun that looks incredible, feels incredible, and everyone's going to look at it and go, what's that? And what I tended to notice in my former years in the gun trade is shooters' habits change hugely. You know, gone were the days where people would come in and would say, my mates told me to buy this. And what we were getting people saying, well, everyone's got one of those, I don't want one. And this is the ideal opportunity to own something that not everyone has got. Like I said, 27 plus years in the gun trade and being round shotguns, this is the first one I've ever laid my hands on. It's a stunner. That's been the Miroku SP100. So just to clarify, it's a mass-produced gun, but it's completely hand-finished. So hand-finished in terms of the checkering, the polishing of the internals, etc. I believe, well, don't quote me on this as well, that they also use a different, much higher gloss bluing process to blue the barrels. Stunning, stunning gun. If anyone's got an SP100, I don't suppose there'll be many of you, please comment below, please get in touch. Details are at the bottom of the screen. And any questions about this particular gun or any other Miroku, like I said before, if you go back 30, 40, 50 years, there's an awful lot of Mirokus out there that haven't got any model denomination whatsoever. I'd like to think I know them all. So please challenge me. Please send me some images, some serial numbers, and see what I can do. On top of that, if there's a particular gun that you would like to see reviewed, do get in touch, do tell me what it is, and I will do my utmost to bring it to you. That's been the extremely rare, extremely desirable Miroku SP100. I'm Matthew Morgan from Eastfield Gunroom. Don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel, and we'll look forward to seeing you again on the next video. Thanks for watching. Cheers.